everyone, welcome back to my channel, welcome to today's video. If you're new here, my name is Sam and today I thought I'd have a bit of a chat about all of the books that I've bought in September and October. No, that's wrong. August and September. So my plan for this video is to only talk about the books that I haven't read yet. There's a few books that I bought in August that I read in August and I've already included in my August reading wrap up. So if you wanted to check that out, I'll leave a link somewhere up here and in the description down below. So if you want to hear me try and badly explain books that I haven't read yet, then keep watching. What I'll also do is if there's a particular book that you're interested in, I'll have timestamps down below so you can flick back and forth as you like. So on my list I have 6 Kindle books and 5 physical books, and I guess, yeah, without rambling too much, let's get into the video. The first book that I bought in August was Everything I Know About Love by Dolly Alderton, and I can remember seeing this everywhere a few years ago. From what I understand, it's a non-fiction / memoir all about growing up through your 20s and into your 30s. It covers things like friendships, relationships, jobs, career. I've heard that it's really funny as well, and because I'm in my late 20s, actually I'm going to be 30 this year, I feel like I'm that right kind of age group where I'll find it really relatable. One review that I read described it as like Bridget Jones but a true story, and I really liked Bridget Jones, so yeah, really looking forward to that one. The next book that I picked up was My Dark Vanessa by Kate Elizabeth Russell, and I can remember seeing loads of people talking about this when it came out. Was it this year? And a lot of the reviews that I was reading was saying that this isn't a book that they'd recommend, however it's an important read. This is a fiction book about a woman called Vanessa who's now in, I believe, her early 30s, and when she was 15 she had this relationship with her 40-year-old English teacher. Now in the present day, another student at that school has accused the same teacher of sexual abuse, and so the book flicks back and forth between Vanessa in the present day in her 30s and Vanessa as a 15-year-old, and she has to try and unpick her feelings over what happened, because she always believed that what they had was love, but now that these other allegations are coming to light, she's having to deal with the fact that she was a victim and that he was actually manipulating her. Obviously, because of the topic of this book, I'm waiting for when I'm in the right frame of mind to read it, because I get the impression that it's going to be quite difficult. I know that a lot of people have said that this book made them feel really uncomfortable because it was so realistic in the way that it was portrayed. But if you've read it, then please let me know in the comments what you thought, because I'm not quite sure what to expect with it. The next book that I bought was House of Earth and Blood by Sarah J Maas, and I've seen so many people talking about this book. From what I understand, this is an adult romantic fantasy, the first book in a series, and it follows our main character who is half fae, and she lives in this Crescent City and she's investigating the death of her friend. Have I got that right? And she teams up with this fallen angel and they try and uncover the mystery together. If you watched my last wrap up video, then you'll know that I read the LOTR series by Sarah J Maas last month, and it's the first book series or books that I've read by Sarah J Maas, and yeah, I'm really interested in reading more of her writing because I find it really entertaining. It's that perfect kind of escapism. I know that Sarah J Maas's books are kind of a little bit hit and miss. People seem to have very strong opinions on them, but most of the reviews I've read about Crescent City, House of Earth and Blood have been quite positive. So yeah, really looking forward to eventually getting around to that. The next book that I bought was After the End by Clare Mackintosh, and I don't think I've ever read any books by Clare Mackintosh, but from what I understand, she's more well known as a thriller author, whereas this is contemporary fiction. I actually got it in the Amazon 99p deals, and I thought for that price I've not really got much to lose. From what I understand, this is a book about a couple whose son is very seriously ill, and the doctors have said to them, the next step is your decision, whatever you want to do. But the couple are divided on how they'd like to proceed, and so it deals with the fallout from them having these very opposing views. This sounds like the kind of book that might one day be turned into a film, and it actually reminds me a little bit of My Sister's Keeper, those kind of vibes. And so yeah, I think I'm going to save it for a day where I want a book that's just going to make me cry, because it sounds like the kind of book that's going to make me cry, although let's be honest, that's pretty much all the time right now. Hashtag pandemic life. The next book I picked up was I Am Not Your Baby Mother by Candice Brathwaite, and from what I understand, this is a memoir by Candice Brathwaite about what it's like to be a black mother in Britain today. I like reading memoirs and biographies anyway, but I especially like reading memoirs by people who have very different lives to me and who go through very different experiences. I feel like it's the least that I can do and the bare minimum that I can do to educate myself. I would have quite liked to have listened to this as an audiobook, because I do generally quite like listening to non-fiction and memoirs, especially biographies, as an audiobook. However, I've ran out of credits at the moment, so when I saw this pop up in the Kindle daily deals, I thought I might as well get it because I do want to read it eventually, and hopefully before the end of this year. The next book that I bought was The Vanishing Half by Brit Bennett, and I've seen so many people talking about this book. From what I understand, it's about two sisters, I think they're twins, and they grew up in this southern black community. However, they are very fair-skinned to the point where they are white passing. When the twins grow up, they both leave town, and one of the twins moves to, I think it's California, where she meets and marries a white man, and they have a daughter together, and she starts living her life as a white woman. However, the other twin does eventually move back to their hometown, and she has a daughter who is very dark-skinned. And so the book kind of follows all of these characters and their relationships, and it sounds really, really interesting. I don't think I've actually seen any negative reviews for this, so I'm expecting that it's going to be at least 4, if not a 5-star read for me when I do eventually get round to it. The final Kindle book on my list is Verity by Colleen Hoover, and I believe this is another author who is more well known for another genre. However, she brought out this thriller, was it last year, and it's had really good reviews. I think it was actually nominated for a Goodreads Choice Award. This is a psychological thriller about a woman who's a struggling author, and she accepts a job ghostwriting for another author. This other author is called Verity, and she's very successful. She's written loads of best-selling books. However, she was recently in a car accident, which has meant that she's not been able to finish her latest books. While this author is in Verity's office, she comes across a journal or a diary that basically starts to uncover some secrets about Verity's life, about her husband, and about their twin daughters that passed away. I don't actually know when I'm going to get round to reading this, because even though it's had some really good reviews, I think I accidentally read a review that has spoilers, and so I think I kind of know what happens. However, I think I picked this up on a deal through Amazon Prime or Kindle Unlimited, so I don't think I actually paid anything for it, so I would like to read it at some point. I just don't know when. So that's all of the Kindle books or ebooks that I bought in August and September, and I'm now going to quickly move on to the physical books. There's not actually that many, so I'll be really, really brief about this, but I'm going to start with Lord of the Rings. So if you saw my TolkienAlong vlog that I did at the start of the month, then I'll leave a link to that if you haven't. But I mentioned in that vlog that I'm taking part in TolkienAlong, which is happening over the next few months for the rest of the year. And I'll leave all the details in the description, but basically we're going to be reading a different Tolkien book every single month for the rest of the year, starting with The Hobbit that I read right at the start of September, and then moving on to The Fellowship of the Ring, which I'm going to be reading next month. So yeah, I actually did read The Lord of the Rings when I was a teenager, but it took me a long, long time because they're very dense books, and so I've been looking for an excuse to reread them, and this seemed like the perfect opportunity. So yeah, the final 2 books that I bought from eBay, and they actually arrived yesterday, were Misery by Stephen King and The Green Mile. So I bought these because I'm planning to read them in October. Because it's Halloween, I'm craving some thrillers and horror, and I've always wanted to read these 2 books. I read quite a lot of Stephen King books when I was kind of in my late teens, but it's got to have been about 10 years since I last picked up a Stephen King book. I have seen both of the films, so I'm already familiar with the stories, but again, it's been years since I've seen the films, so hopefully there'll be a few surprises. If you're a fan of Stephen King books and you've read both Misery and The Green Mile, then please leave me a comment down below and let me know which you think I should start with first, because I'm not really sure. Okay, so that brings me to the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed watching it. If you did, then please don't forget to give it a thumbs up, click subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!